You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Now on the Mo Kelly Show, it's Tiffany Hobbs, the viral load.
She'll speak of all the viral things social media can bring.
Facebook, Insta, X, TikTok, the viral load with Tiffany Hobbs. Viral load, viral load, the viral load.
Yeah, viral load with Tiffany Hobbs.
KFI AM 640. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and the iHeartRadio app. Now let's turn it over to Tiffany Hobbs and the viral load.
Mo, can I just say, if you ever need me to go to In-N-Out, I am absolutely a willing participant in that request. I love In-N-Out.
Okay, we have another hour in the show. Stefan, what do you want?
It's on
tape. Mark, get your order in because we're going to just forego the viral load, and Tiffany Hobbs is going to go get us food now.
I don't mind. I'm totally okay with that. But let me get these couple stories in before we do.
No, you have to go now. It's got to be now.
Hold on, wait. This is really important. Speaking of pranks, and that In-N-Out prank story, horrendous, absolutely terrible. It's one of the stories that I was contemplating doing, but because I knew it was such a big story, I said, let me pause on it and find another story. And the story that I found actually is another example of a prank. So there are all sorts of internet pranks. There's the throwing cheese at the baby prank. There's the plastic fake poop in a public space prank, of course. Well, the newest prank, and a prank that for me probably would get you punched in the face if you did it to me, is putting fake electrical outlets in public spaces, specifically in airports. So this is what I'm talking about. You can go on Amazon and buy anything. And I highly caution you, those of you who are listening or watching on YouTube, to not do this, because you could find yourself on the receiving end of someone's fist, and you probably would deserve it. So if you bought this from Amazon, it looks like an electrical outlet. You can order them in packs or singularly. They're stickers, and they look so realistic that when people are now engaging in this prank, they're standing back, of course, and they're watching unsuspecting patrons or unsuspecting public members go to these outlets expecting to be able to plug in their chargers after a long day of travel, or, in anticipation of a long flight, whatever it may be, a laptop, a computer, headphones, anything. And what they're finding is they're plugging nothing into plastic. They're taking their charging cord and they're jamming it into the wall, in some cases damaging their own plugs, because it's just a sticker. And again, if you're doing this, if you find yourself participating unknowingly in this prank, then just understand you've probably been recorded and posted on the internet for everyone to laugh at you.
But it's not funny.
It's not funny at all. It's downright cruel. I can understand kind of wanting to get your kicks maybe at like an In-N-Out at a restaurant.
Do it to your friends.
Yeah, put it in your house.
Don't do it to people you don't know.
Yes.
I always have to insert myself. How would I respond in this situation? I'm going to assume that you're going to let me know I'm on candid camera at some point. I
don't think they are. It's people just standing back and getting this footage, and then they upload it and it goes viral, which is why this story exists. There are a number of viral videos of people jamming their plugs into these fake outlets, not knowing, walking away, and then the videographer, whoever's taking the footage, is just getting their kicks out of this. And in an airport just seems like adding insult to injury. It's already a high stress situation.
I don't like people.
People are horrible.
I just don't find the humor point.
No.
It's not, to me, it's not creative. It's not novel as in new. It's just, you're just effing with people. That's the only way I can describe it.
And that is something you would do to your friends.
Yes.
And then you tell them, you let them in on it, and it's over.
Yeah. But just random people?
In an airport at that. Like, you really want to piss people off when they're about to fly or traveling in any way?
I think it's part of the me generation where people don't think beyond the end of their actions. I want to see people, in my mind, make a fool of themselves so I can put them up online and make a fool of them again for likes, clicks, hearts, virality. All right. Piss me off some more.
All right. So in speaking about doing things deliberately, this situation, this next story actually was an accident. And we've all been here. Remember, there have been plenty of times, I'm sure, where you've accidentally called someone the wrong name. Mo, you're married and you may have any number of pet names for your wife. Baby, sweetie, honey.
No, I don't have a pet name for my wife, but I do say this. I'm horrible with names, and we have a system. So if I like going to a college reunion and it's like there are a lot of people I can't remember the names of, I just can't. I even study, Facebook before I go, who I might run into. But we have a system where if I like tap her on the back, that means you go ahead and introduce yourself first.
Yeah.
And it's like, hi, I'm Namu Hair. And they say, oh, I'm Johnny so-and-so. It's like, Wendy, this is Johnny.
Sure. That's best case scenario. But let's say it's a high stress situation, and likely many of us, if not all of us, have been in a situation where we've accidentally referred to someone we're speaking to, perhaps as someone else's name or a pet name, or perhaps something that you usually do in your relationship is you get upset with your spouse and you say honey or sweetheart or something to kind of bring the conversation back. And you might do that to a stranger or to someone you're ordering with if they're frustrating you. It's just the way the brain works in association. Well, in this case, we have two players in this scenario.
Okay.
We have a judge, a woman, okay, and her name is Judge Elizabeth L. Harris. And then we have an attorney from Colorado State, and he's unnamed in this situation because he probably wants to stay that way. And what happened is during oral arguments during this case, the People versus Delgado, which happened to be a sexual assault case, which was being revisited to evaluate the defendant's consecutive prison sentences, the Colorado State attorney made a huge mistake. Steph, ready for you.
This could have been three separate...
Okay, but it wasn't three separate. Let's go with what happened in the case.
But, honey, oh my God. I'm sorry, Your Honor. That, I don't know what to say to that. I apologize.
Stop talking.
Go ahead.
The question here is what happened... I'm sorry, I've just been totally thrown by
I can
mistake.
imagine. I can imagine. I'm a little thrown by that also, if I'm being honest.
Your Honor, I don't know what to say. It's just
Okay, well, go ahead. You've only got a minute and 7 seconds left.
Call the judge, honey.
Yeah. High stress can produce that sort of mistaken association. That's what psychologists say. And in this case, this poor attorney called the judge honey.
No, that's not poor attorney. That's his ass. That's on him.
And of course, it was recorded, uploaded, and now it will live in perpetuity on the internet. One of his darkest moments, not his finest for sure as an attorney, is now living there forever. Yeah.
Honey, look.
I'm sorry.
There's so many ways that you can interpret that. Did he visually see some sort of similarity? Was there an emotional type of familiarity whenever he got in an argument with someone?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I'm thinking like that's how he addresses women.
That's what I'm thinking.
It seemed very condescending. He's like, honey, who?
And he realizes immediately that it's too late.
He was thrown. Lucky she didn't throw him out of the courtroom.
On the other side of the viral load, Mo, we have a movie viral story, and we also have a story about a business, a brewery that also made a huge mistake caught on film.
It's Later with Mo Kelly, part 2 of the viral load, coming up in just a moment.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Now it's time for the viral load with Tiffany. Live on KFI is Later with Mo Kelly. She'll talk about the topics on social media. The viral load with Tiffany Hobbs.
KFI AM 640 is Later with Mo Kelly, live on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and the iHeartRadio app. Now it's part 2 of the viral load with Tiffany Hobbs.
Okay, and for the sake of time, we're going to switch the order of the last 2 stories. So Steph, have that audio ready. There's a brewery in St. Louis. It's called Crafted, and it's now in hot water and facing a lot of financial backlash after an employee was recorded on video by a patron calling that patron the B word. Steph, can we hear the first clip?
What's the issue over here? I think you should talk to him because he already confirmed it with
This is the
me.
patron.
I just asked what's the issue. She didn't apply your happy hour discount like she was supposed to. Okay, well, let's not be a She's gonna get it taken care of. You don't even What's your name? In here. What's your name? Where's your manager? I just recorded what you just said, right?
So just to set the scene, there's a customer at a table. She has her phone set up and she's enjoying a beer, presumably. And while she's trying to work out her bill and get a discount for happy hour applied to her final bill, she's talking to this employee and they're trying to kind of sort it out. And you heard the employee say there, well, you don't have to be such a bee about it. The patron immediately says, where's your manager? Can I talk to your manager? The employee walks off. Mm-hmm. Of course, this video was uploaded on the patron's personal social media pages and people weighed in. And one of the first things that people do nowadays when there's a business involved is they take to websites like Yelp or to the actual website to be able to rate and share commentary about that business. And they did this for Crafted, the brewery in question. They took to Yelp, they took to different social media, and they dragged Crafted through the mud because the manager at the time failed to respond. Now, when the rating for Crafted started to dip, as Yelp and these other websites would then create based off of negative reviews, the manager finally decided to speak up and she released her own bit of video on social media to try and counteract what the patron said. But people are saying that this video has only added insult to injury, did not help the situation at all. Let's hear what the manager had to say.
You're not lying. It was very accurate. I think the context could have been a little different because, you know, all of your followers are now attacking my business and a personal issue that you have with one of my employees is now ruining a small neighborhood business, woman-owned business.
Yeah. In her apology or explanation.
Oh, that was an apology?
That was supposed to be an apology. Okay. The manager didn't say anything about the employee being held accountable. There was no restitution attempted during the apology. And it sounds a lot like a passive-aggressive attempt at, quote unquote, saying she was sorry for what happened. But the business's reviews continue to tank. Go ahead, Mo.
I didn't get any sense that there was any apology. I thought that she was more disgusted and offended that people came after the business, a woman-owned business, as she put it.
Exactly.
For something that, as far as I could hear, was the fault of the employee, not the patron.
Yeah.
And as the manager, if you would have handled it then and in the moment, it would not have led to this. You can't have your employees cussing out patrons.
You can't. You can't. And you deserve whatever backlash you get if you do not take action right then and there with the offending employee. And that's what's happening with Crafted. For our final story of the night, a quick story. People are calling out the mundane things that happen in movies and television shows that they say are absolutely unrealistic. Mo, can you think of something that happens on TV or in film that is supposed to be a normal day-to-day activity by this character, and in real life, that never, ever happens? I'll give you one, for example.
Okay.
You have a teenager coming down or out of their room. They see a huge spread on the table of breakfast food, everything you can think of, stacks and stacks of pancakes, and they grab an orange or an apple and say, I'm late, I gotta go. No. And they leave everything there.
That's my favorite thing ever.
Yes.
The Brits make fun of us for that.
They do.
Very little of sitcom TV is real. There are too many examples I can think of off the top of my head. It's just the whole idea of the coming downstairs and the whole family being in one place at one time does not happen.
It doesn't happen anymore.
It doesn't.
So there's a laundry list of grievances that people have, and that's what's going viral. People are weighing in about these unrealistic actions. Here's another one. They said when a person flips on the TV immediately and they flip on the TV and immediately get the information from the news that they were hoping to find. that's popular in like disaster movies or something.
Right at the point of the announcement, 6.9
right
earthquake in this Panorama City. Sorry, Panorama City.
Another one is when people don't say goodbye when talking on the phone. They just finish their last sentence and hang up. A really popular one, when people are traveling by car and the driver keeps looking over at the passenger talking for 10 seconds at a time.
Or if you can watch us on YouTube, they're doing this with the steering wheel back and forth. It's like, is the car zigzagging? Because when I'm driving, it's 10 and 2, and you just keep it right there.
A cop would have pulled him over by that point.
I have one final one. When people go to a bar and they tell the bartender, what do they say?
Keep it open?
No, think TV or movies. You go to a bar, a character goes to the bar, they sit down. What do they say to the bartender?
Give me the regular?
They go, I'll have a beer. And the bartender just instinctually knows that the beer that they serve is the beer that the customer wants.
If you've ever been to a bar like I have, it's like, well, we have bottled beer, we have on draft,
we have craft.
Yeah,
we have this.
You need to be very specific,
Yeah. So people are taking to social media to share their common grievances about how unrealistic, surprise, surprise, entertainment is.
Oh, just speaking about the phone, when you call someone on TV, they actually pick up like first ring.
Exactly.
Who does that?
I don't know, honey. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Mo. Mo.
Wait, there are two things. Going back to that B word story about the patron crafted.
Yes.
The only good part about that story, having nothing to do with you, was that they're playing Boz Scaggs in the background. The lowdown. That's a great song. Huh?
Were they?
Yeah. Play it again. Play the clip again, real quick. That's what jumped out at me.
This could have been 3 separate.
Okay, but it wasn't.
Nope, not that one. That was
no,
Honey.
What's the issue over here?
Oh, you're right.
Because he already confirmed it with me. I just asked what's the issue. She didn't apply your happy hour discount like she was supposed to. Okay, well, let's not be a She's going to get it taken care of. What's your name in here? What's your name?
That's probably going to get flagged in the podcast, but oh well.
That's the end of the viral load. Of course, you can catch me Saturdays from 5 to 7 for Saturdays with Tiffany.
It's later with Mo Kelly. When we come back, we have an update on that Cobra Kai story yesterday that we told you about between Alicia Hannah Kim and also Martin Cove, where Martin Cove bit Alicia Hannah Kim on her arm and her husband was there. We have the body cam video and the audio as they tried to work it out after the incident. That's next.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Oh, later with Mo Kelly on KFI AM 640.
Live everywhere on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and the iHeartRadio app. Yesterday, we told you about Cobra Kai's Alicia Hannah Kim and her, let's call it an altercation with co-star Martin Cove, and how Martin Cove allegedly bit Alicia Hannah Kim on the arm, almost drawing blood. And they were at a fan event in the state of Washington. And instead of it devolving into a larger altercation, Kim called the police, and they had the police on scene. And we now have the body cam video and also the audio of how it was being explained to the police and what ultimately was done. Listen to this.
White people. That is.
I'm sorry. It starts off with the voice of the officer. He is admonishing Martin Cove.
White people. That is not okay.
That is assault.
And it's 100% up to her if she wants to pursue charges. I'd like to understand why you did that.
I apologize. I was just playing because we're very playful together, and I bit down too hard, and I meant to.
She's got a mouth mark.
Too hard?
I know.
No, we do not play like that. I
apologize.
No.
So.
No.
I don't know what world do we like where to bite and leave a mark on her.
That's a police officer.
Visible. That's super not cool, and I don't know if
it's felony assault.
That's super.
You tell me.
Cool.
I want to be very clear with witnesses. No, we're going to hear me because I want to be very clear in front of everyone here. Martin, you think it's funny to play with people. We are colleagues. I have played with you on set. We've danced, we've worked together, we've shaken hands, and I came to you as a colleague and I said to your son, hey, can you tell your dad not to bite me? I'm not going to the cops. I'm not going to anyone. He says, I'm sorry. I said, it's not his fault. Just tell your dad he can't bite me. Now, in the realm of what is normal and reasonable, and I don't know if you understand that, that's called civility and camaraderie, and it's called colleagues, friendship. That's what that is. I came to you with that benefit of the doubt. Then I came to your face and I said, Marty, I said it very gently to you, Marty, you may not bite me. It hurt. You try to justify it because I don't think you understand that you cannot bite other humans. So I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on in your brain, but for you to get outraged at me is completely and utterly inappropriate. And honestly, I'm ashamed of your dignity as an 80-year-old man to scream at a lady that you just bit. You say that we're friends and that we play. Sir, we work together. We shake hands, we do photo ops, we get along. When have I ever bit you? Biting is an offense. That's why I've brought this gentleman here to speak to you, because you think you have done nothing wrong. You have committed assault on my body. So I don't know what realm of justice you live in that you think that that's in the realm of play. I'll tell you that the 1, 2, 4 men that are standing here will dispute your idea of play. My husband doesn't bite me. Nobody bites me. It is offensive. It is undignified, and it is assault. So I don't really care what your justification is, but right now you're going to listen to this officer because I'm on the precipice of fury and seeking my own justice, because what you've done is committed assault, and that's on camera. Everything that I've just said. So please, by all means.
Okay, you get the general gist. She's pissed. She's rightfully pissed. She has every reason. If you see the video, which we're showing right now on YouTube, you'll see a guy who's in a white T-shirt. That is Jesse Cove, the son of Martin Cove. He doesn't say anything, but he's there. I don't know where her husband is, because obviously when we talked about it yesterday, he was there on scene. He doesn't say anything, and that's kind of strange to me. Yes, she was giving her side of it. Martin Cove was, I guess, trying to be apologetic, but if we're going to bring the police into it, I got to file charges, because there's no point to have the police there to get an apology, because all they're talking about is an apology. And she says she's on the precipice of fury or something like that. I know she's mad. I know she's mad. She has every reason to be mad. But if the police come over after biting me, there's no point in telling this whole story on video to the police if you don't plan to take it further. Of course, I mean, there's a cooling off period. She doesn't have to file charges immediately. But damn it, if you bite me and we call the police, your ass is going to jail. And we'll work out the other stuff after the fact. I don't know. This is one of those easy ones. You would think that you get the easy ones right. He bit you. He admits that he bit you. The police officer, start the audio again. The police officer starts off by saying, basically, biting is not cool. So everyone is on one accord. It happened.
Bite people. That is not okay.
That is not okay. So the officer is not asking, like, so what happened? What was leading up to it? Was there a precipitating event? Was there a fight? It's clear. He bit her. And it doesn't seem like Martin Cove was taken away to jail.
Bite people. That is not okay.
That is assault.
And it's 100% up to her if she wants to pursue charges. I'd like to understand why you did that.
Does he really need to understand? Honestly? And this is where me as the husband, as the protective person when it comes to my wife, that's when I would foresee myself saying, excuse me, officer, we don't need to get an understanding, because your presence here is only to ascertain whether something happened. She says, my wife says it happened. This guy admits that it happened. So let's talk about next steps. Do you have your cuffs on you? Good. So I would like to, this is what I, as the husband, said, we need to file charges. And so filing charges, I need you to arrest him now, because that needs to be part of the record. And we got to handle it right here, right now. Or otherwise, what's the point of bringing the officer over? Yes, you got it on tape that he admitted it. Well, you have your confession. Take his ass away. We're going to take this to the hallway right now. KFI AM 640, we're live everywhere on YouTube, Instagram, iHeartRadio app, Facebook, your mama house and them. We're live everywhere.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Before we go, I want to finish up with this Cobra Kai story because I think it says a lot about relationships and, more importantly, expectations. And I wanted to also get a lady's perspective. We heard from Carnisha last night, but I also want to hear from Tiffany Hobbs of the Viral Look, because this is a huge viral story now, where we had Martin Kove of Cobra Kai and also Alicia Hannah Kim. They were doing this fan event in the state of Washington, and Martin Kove, just to reset for Tiffany, for some reason decided to bite Alicia Hannah Kim, almost drawing blood. Last night when we talked about this, we said, okay, why didn't her husband intervene, who was there? Twal and I were saying someone's getting his ass whooped. I don't care if he is 80 years old. You're biting my wife. Then we heard today the actual body cam audio, saw the video, and it's Alicia Hannah Kim explaining to the officer what happened. I said, I didn't understand why there was all this explaining going on, because if anything, you've obviously told it to the police officer and he has admitted doing it. What are we talking about? Someone needs to be arrested. And there's not even clarity on where the husband was at that point, because the husband supposedly intervened, but he's nowhere to be found. What I want to ask of you, Tiffany, is, as a woman in a similar situation, what would you want the man to do? Your man.
What the hell is this story? This is crazy. In my situation, if there is any man standing by, I would hope that they would intervene on my behalf. I don't care if it's my significant other or an usher in the stands, whatever it is. If there's a man nearby, I want that man to intervene in some way to protect me and hold that other person accountable. And then also I can understand people freezing. Like, freezing is a real legitimate reaction to things that are so ridiculous. And that's what this is. It's extremely ridiculous. And I'm also troubled to hear that she didn't press charges.
Not as of yet. And I know you can press charges at a later date. And I don't know why you're going to seek out law enforcement if you're not going to see that through.
Yeah. And obviously anyone in the workplace, be them actors or whatever industry you're in, we're all very well informed about harassment, about inappropriate employee conduct. Why?
Especially on a set.
Especially on a set. Why this is being minimized is beyond me. And it sets a very dangerous precedence for like playfulness in the workforce. Or in the workplace, this is not that. It says here that he almost drew blood.
Yeah.
Like this is extremely serious.
It is extremely serious. Alicia Hannah Kim obviously thought it was serious enough to get law enforcement. There are two things I don't understand, and it's not blaming the victim. I'm saying I don't understand. I don't understand how you would let someone walk away after doing it.
Yeah. And I don't want to blame or place any sort of volatility, onto her husband. Again, who knows what his reaction was outside of our purview? Who knows if he didn't try and intervene in some way? But this to me, any person who's standing around, any male who's standing around would be responsible for Alicia Hannah Kim in this situation.
There's something that's instructive. There is a teachable moment in this. And I always talk about envision yourself in a situation before you're in that situation, and you're less likely to freeze. If you are thinking about what would I do as a bystander, you think about it in advance, you're more likely to act in that situation because you're less likely to freeze. You have to think about it in advance. There is something I think women should think about this, being in that moment. Men definitely should think about this, being in that moment. It doesn't have to be your wife, to your point. It doesn't have to be your significant other. It could be a woman who may just need your help. Mm-hmm. And help comes in a variety of ways. Help could be like, hey, what are you doing? Stop that.
Yeah. And, I just anecdotally, I saw an example of domestic abuse, presumably a couple of weeks ago. And I watched as people watched and no one intervened. I called the police, but there were men around and they just watched or walked by. So the freezing reaction, sure, but I think there's a lot of cowardice as well and fear of blowback, especially in a situation like this where you're on a set. And who knows what Alicia Hannah Kim was wondering in that moment about what would happen to her career.
No, and I know that was a consideration, and maybe she didn't want to blow it up more than it was. But again, once you bring police into it, and you're like at a fan event, so there are cameras everywhere. There's video of it. We just haven't seen it yet. I'm positive there's video of it because Martin Kove obviously was performing in his mind.
Yeah.
So there were cameras on him. There were phones on him. So we'll see it. Yeah.
He said.
We will see the video, and that'll probably give us a different perspective as well. But this goes back to a time where it's almost like everyone wants to be either the star of their movie or a non-player character, just there, but not really there. Don't want to get involved. Don't want to do anything. And if they're not the star, they're not in it.
All of those people around, and not one person, at least according to these reports, did anything. I think that's an indictment.
Well, his son is able-bodied, and he didn't even intervene.
And you can't just brush this off as, oh, well, he's old, he may be feeble-minded or whatever. But
that to me says it's even easier to intervene at that point.
Absolutely.
Because they're not the physical consequences or danger for yourself that you have to consider.
This is really, this is a terrible story. This is horrible. How dare he?
I have to believe that there's more to this in the sense of there's something that happened on the set prior to which gave Martin Kove the idea that they had a level of playfulness. I'm not blaming her. I'm just saying something put it in his mind that he thought this was okay.
Yeah, according to her, when she spoke to the officer, one of the things that she said was that he says we're playing, but we don't play like this. We're colleagues. We're not friends. We don't play this way. So his attempt to dismiss it as just cavalier and wanton was not disregarded, but straight up struck down by her. She said no.
This is disappointing. I wanted more from men in that moment.
Yeah.
And didn't get it.
As a woman, I want men to step up. And there are so many examples of men not doing it. And I know it's not easy. It's easier said than done to ask men to put themselves in vulnerable positions. But if you're watching a woman or someone who is more vulnerable than you being abused or harassed in any way, it is on you to do the right thing.
We'll see you tomorrow. We'll let Tiffany Hobbs have the last word on that one. It's Later with Mo Kelly. Thanks for hanging out in the Motown and chat, and also on Facebook, and also where else are we? Where else are we? Instagram. We're everywhere. Threads. That's right. We're still at your mama's house and them. We'll see you tomorrow. KFI AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
KFI and KOST HD2, Los Angeles, Orange County. More stimulating